Welcome to the Crit Hit Wild podcast, where we talk about all things Marvel Crisis Protocol and review a different character every week. I'm your host, Fred, oddly. I'm taking over for Jared this week for scheduling reasons. All right, so I am joined today by. Say your names, you two.
Do I
Say
go
your
after
name.
you because I always go after you, or are we? I don't know. This is
Okay,
Brandon. I'm here.
is
And
your
I'm
name
Brad.
supposed to be? Okay, well that works. Hey guys, how are you guys doing?
I'm doing fine today.
Okay, good. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad that someone took my role of just doing generally fine. Uh, how's everything going with you? I I'm doing great. Oh
Like
boy.
the pure optimism. I'm doing pretty good. Just busy with work and life, but
Yeah.
making it
Yeah.
happen, man.
Glad to hear it. Well, I figure I should probably go through these show notes. Uh, Second Wind will be coming up October 15th through 16th. Good luck to everybody there and kick everyone's ass. If you listen to this podcast, I expect you to win.
Once
Uh,
again, we are very upset that we did not get to go.
yeah, yeah, that is just unfortunate. But I expect everyone out there listening to my voice right now to win at Second Wind. There is unfortunately not going to be a tournament in Charleston, West Virginia this month. There is going to be a tournament coming up later on October 22nd at Paradox Trading Post in Washington. There are currently 14 of 24 players, and it is an LVO points qualifier. And registration is at 11:30 a.m. with a $15 entry. The event number on Longshanks is 5546. So 10 people need to join up. Get in there and get your LVO points.
That one's a little far for us to drive. I looked it up. It is 1 day and 15 hours.
Wait, you don't feel up to doing what would that be? A 39-hour drive?
No.
Sounds fun.
That would be a fly if we were going, but there's no way we can go for like something that's not a big thing. Like uh, Jared and Borka went to LVO last year, and they flew out to LVO. So something like that, maybe, but not for just the regular tournament. I do wish everyone luck and, well, I guess only one person can win it, but have fun. That's the important thing, right? Have fun.
Yeah, go out and have fun and win. Uh also
Only
on
one person can do that, Fred.
I expect everyone to win. Coming up on October 22nd, also is at the Bookery Games in Ohio is another tournament that is much more reachable by us.
Yes.
Uh, Registration is at 11:30, and it is a $10 entry fee.
Uh,
And
that's
oh
something I would normally try to go to, but I can't. So
yeah, yeah.
have fun, people, and maybe I'll make the next one or the one after.
Uh, let's move on to Cerebro news and announcements.
Hey, so first of all, just the ongoing, are we going to reach the $100 so that I can make it on the App Store? We are now further along, but we're not quite at 50% yet funding. Then I made 2 updates since last time. One of them is I forgot to add the new icon to characters and crisis cards and stuff, so I fixed that. And then the other thing is the TTS mod creators decided that they needed to put Sentinels in as two different models. So I had to go back in and get rid of all my work where I made it work with two Sentinels and two checkboxes. And I took all that out and instead added a second Sentinel in the database. So if you made a list with two Sentinels, go in there, delete them, and then re-add them as the two separate Sentinels.
That is
That way it'll work
unfortunate.
on TTS.
Yeah, TTS wasn't as clever as you. They didn't figure it
Well,
out as well.
they probably have two physical models different, like the
Oh,
models, and so that would necessitate them adding it twice. Whereas I just had to add the card, so it didn't make sense to add it twice.
right.
Even though this is the easy solution. Like if I'd done this from the beginning, I would have had to do no work at all.
Yeah, well, I liked the way you did it. It was very clever.
Well, that's one of the reasons I did it, is because I was like, this will be fun to try to code. And it was. And then I undid it.
Well, let's move on to the Longshanks fact of the week.
Oh yes, Longshanks. That's awesome me. Why is it always awesome me?
Yeah, I feel like we need to spread these out, like have it be.
Yeah.
But
Listen, I'm just here to talk shit. All right, that's what I'm here for.
Okay, so there's something else I want to talk about in the well, I'm going to talk about two things in the resources section today. So, in the Longshanks tools and resources for Marvel Crisis Protocol, there is a print and play section, and it lets you print character trackers so you can keep track of who has what um, condition and stuff like that. And then there's tip cards where you can print out these cards that tell you like um, what order to do stuff in each of the phases. That stuff is also on Cerebro. If you bring up the app, it's in the resources section. If you go to Second Wind, you'll probably get a set of these where the character tracker's on one side and the rules tip cards are on the back of the card. We got them last year when we went, and they're really cool. And then if you look under that, it says community resources, and it lists a lot of podcasts and different things. And if you look down, I think it's the first app listed. It is the first app, the only app listed. It's Cerebro MCP. It's a roster builder for Marvel Crisis Protocol, and it's the one I use personally. So I highly recommend that app.
it's the best one to use, almost certainly.
I think so. But there's a lot of podcasts on there. One of the missing podcasts is Crit Hit Wild.
We got to get on there.
Yeah, I could probably just send Sam an email and he'll put us on there, but
Yeah, we'll get on there eventually. Well, all right, let's move on to the weekly topic. This is a topic created by Jared, but I really like this question. What character do you dread to see across the table? Why don't you start us off there, Brandon, because you haven't talked a whole lot yet.
Oh God, Thanos probably.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this
Thanos
is
is a
going to be a
bitch, dog.
question. Thanos is awful to see across the table. I feel like this is going to be a question with like maybe 3 answers. So let's limit it. Let's not say. Let's say you can't pick Thanos or Hulk. How about that?
Yeah.
And let's limit that by that much.
God, I ain't really scared of anybody else.
Yeah,
I mean, that's for real though. Like those are the ones. Like, I mean, oh God, circle back. Let me look through the list and see if I can
okay, you
think of
want
anybody.
me to go?
Yeah, you go ahead. Yeah, you go ahead.
Okay,
Who do
so
you not want to see?
the person that just scares me every time I see them is Ghost Rider. Just every single time they are on the table, they he will just do something incredible every turn and there's so many different ways that he can affect the battlefield. Like even his thing that he pays a little bit of power to hurt you if you crit. That
That's good.
that sucks every time, and it piles up damage a lot.
But this
He
is the
is
thing. I'm usually the one playing Ghost Rider.
yeah, he sucks. I hate fighting against him. He does not suck. Let me take that back. He's awesome, but he is scary to play against. He is like terrifying to see on the other side of the table. All right, Brad, how about you?
Okay, so everyone in the local meta is probably expecting me to say Drax. And while I do hate playing against Drax, my answer was going to be Hulk. That was taken off the table.
Yeah,
Yes.
Thanos and
So,
Hulk were definitely the two that I
Yeah.
had queued up on that.
So the one that I am currently most afraid of out of the ones left is Malekith. And partially that's because I still haven't played against him.
Oh
Um,
God.
Yeah,
I can't assure you it doesn't get better once you play against him.
Well, I have tech in my list, so hopefully that's enough.
Is it the other Hulk?
Yeah,
I mean,
Yeah.
that is excellent tech against Malekith.
yeah.
It is. That's
So
really.
I'm hoping it's not too bad when I do eventually play it, but that's it. Malekith or Malkeith, as Borka says.
Male
All right.
Keith.
I have an answer.
Okay. What's your answer?
Man, it's I mean, I don't know if it's any worse now. It probably isn't, dude, but it's gonna be Miles. I hate playing against Web Warriors.
Oh,
I
that's a good
hate
answer.
That is a
fucking
good
playing
answer.
against Web Warriors, man. Like, and it's not like they're bad, it's just like they prevent you from playing. They do what they're supposed to do, which is good, but they prevent you from playing like the game that you probably want to play. And it's just
They
annoying.
force you to play their game, and
Yeah,
if you
that's not
don't play
fun. Their game's not
yeah.
fun. The game
Uh,
they want to play isn't fun.
Mark
Yeah,
for
like
Death is in every one of my rosters, primarily for Miles. It gets other uses, but it is Miles.
yeah, I don't
Marks
think
for
there's
Death.
any. Yeah, because I honestly like outside of like Hulk and like Thanos, because like Malekith is in probably every roster I make from here going forward, just because like that threat's so big. So I understand that being an answer. And that like he's literally like that 10th roster spot is rarely going to be something that's so like earth shattering that it can't be him, because the threat of him's going to be better than probably whatever that 10th model is. I struggle with my criminal syndicate list with that spot, just because like I do for a long time I have used all 10 of those models. Like if I ever play a tournament, I usually by round 3 I've played all 10 models. It's rare that doesn't happen, so it's kind of hard to fit him in. Um, but yeah, I've looked at this list, and I was thinking about like Magneto, but even Magneto is not like even like when you play against Brotherhood, it's really not like Magneto or Juggernaut or like Mystique or Toad. Like it's all of them together. So
Yeah.
it's hard to say just one of them. No offense to like Brad, but like none of the X-Men are really that scary. Uh,
Well,
and like the
no,
same,
they're not.
yeah, and it's like none of the Criminal Syndicate are really all that scary by themselves. Like damn, Miles is obnoxious, dog. Like.
Yeah.
Like every time I see it, they play some, I'm just like, fuck. It's just because like the game's different, like everything changes. I mean, it's
I've
less
got a
fun playing
surefire
against
way
them.
to beat Miles. Works every time.
If I walk away
Play
from the table.
Sentinels.
Yeah, Sentinels.
Yeah, that's the one thing, because that's a nice little positive, like that if they're gonna be around. I tell you another character. I don't like. I hate playing against Doctor Voodoo too, man. Like.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
He is not like he is
He's a
not fun to
puzzle.
play again. Yeah, he is not fun to play. And it's not like he's a puzzle. Like there's a movie that came out in like the early 2000s called Cube. Um
Oh, love Cube.
Nobody
It's a good
loves
movie.
Cube. No, it's
I
not.
love Cube.
It is not a good. First of all, you can love it, but it's not a good movie. I'm
Okay,
gonna.
that is a fair statement.
I
It's a
love
fun.
Cube.
It's entertaining, but it's not good.
Hypercube and
Cube
whatever
Tube
the
Hypercube,
prequel was
and then
called.
Cube Zero was the
Cube
prequel.
Zero, yeah.
Yeah.
Cube Zero and
Uh,
Hypercube aren't as good, but I love Cube.
Cube Zero arguably is the best of the three. I can
No.
Cube Tube Hypercube's terrible.
Oh yeah, it's real bad.
That's a good one to forget. Anyway, that's what Doctor Voodoo feels like, because it's like if you've ever seen Cube, which we're probably 3 of the 7 people in the world that have seen it, because it's not a movie. Don't go watch it. Just take my word for it.
Watch it, it's great.
It's not great. Don't listen to Brad. Brad also thinks the
They had to
Suicide
build
Squad's a good
one
movie.
set for that movie.
Yeah, and you can tell during the movie because it's kind of like it's like Saw before Saw. So like they're in a big cube and they enter the cube and the trap can happen or they're safe and they go to another part and there's like an entrance at each edge of the cube. And during the movie, you can see that they just repainted the room because there'll be different colors, which is fun. If you ever rewatch it, you can tell that they've just repainted the same room on set. But that's what Doctor Voodoo feels like because you're just like you get in and you feel safe, and then all of a sudden it starts raining acid or spikes coming, like something crazy happens, and it's like you never are safe with voodoo around. Like something's always can happen. And it's so yeah. I gave you two for on my answer.
In the early 2000s, there was like this cinematic obsession with dangerous rooms because it
Yeah,
wasn't like Resident Evil, the first movie, was basically like here's a bunch of dangerous rooms.
Cube
I don't
came
know
out in
what it was.
1997.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Cube 2, Hypercube was 2002, and Cube 0 is 2000. So Cube 0, ironically, was the first one that I saw in 2004. I never watched Cube Tube Hypercube, and then I watched Cube. And watching Cube 0 first was actually really, really interesting because it was really unfortunate because you figured out because in the regular cube, like you figure out like the guy, because you're just like, how'd this guy get through this? Like, because if you haven't seen the first one, you don't understand how this guy in Cube 0 can like get through it and figure it out, which is, you know, I don't care. It's a spoiler. I don't give a shit. Are they coming out with a new
Go ahead
one?
and spoil it. These are 20-year-old movies that are
Bro,
not.
they're making a new one.
Are
I'm
you
excited
serious?
then.
Are you
Swear,
serious?
it's Cube. It's coming out in Japan.
Oh, is it a remake?
Yeah, it's a
Or
remake. It came out in 2021.
okay. So it's
Yeah,
out.
yeah, it's out. Yeah, it was the original title, so it's like a Japanese remake. It's apparently like straight up because it copied the same screenplay and was adapted by
It's
different.
like what we do to Japanese
Yeah,
movies.
I was just about to
Yeah,
make the point.
yeah,
It's
it's
the best
yeah.
Grudge movie is the Japanese version. The best
The
Ring
Ring was the
movie.
best one. Oh
Yeah,
my
the
gosh. The Ring was so good.
Bro, I think they're doing it to all of them. What?
we're off
No,
topic.
I'm sorry. I went down a rabbit
No,
hole,
it's
man.
fine. That's fine. I like talking about this.
Yeah, but it's so that's like the fun part is like when you watch if you watch Cube 0 first, which you probably should, like you won't understand like at all that movie until they get to until like you watch Cube. So like if you're watching Cube 0 and none of it makes sense, just realize that Cube's gonna solve most of those answers. So
The rich lore of the Cubeverse.
I'm so shook that they have a Japanese remake. And the worst thing, I'm watching the trailer, and to be honest, it doesn't look like it had a whole lot bigger of a budget.
Well,
All right. What's next? What's next?
let's move on. So the next thing would normally be talking about games that we've played recently, but we're actually recording this pretty close after our last recording, and we don't have any unless either one of you have played any games in the interim, which I don't think is possible.
Not of
I have.
MCP.
I haven't played anything, man.
You know what? I did play a game recently. I played a game of Infinity against Jared, and I liked it. It was good. That's it. That's the end of that segment.
All right, it's over. All right,
um,
move on.
all right,
Fun.
let's move on to the character review. Now, I have to pull up Cerebro because I was not prepared because I'm a bad host.
I want to yell
Okay.
at the person who does Cerebro that like it is in every kind of title list doesn't matter, and that the blob should be with the bees.
Uh, so
Starting
this
a
character's
petition.
name is the Blob. So his name begins with a T. The Blob. Okay. The Blob, and his real name is Fred Dukes.
You did not
You-
know he was a
did you
Fred?
not
I
No,
didn't
he
know
was
his
a
name was
Fred?
Fred.
Yeah, his name's Fred.
Yeah, look at me. All right.
So have you
Freak
not
out
even
would
seen
you
the
have made it if
movies?
it said Fred Walker?
Uh,
Have you not seen the movies?
I mean, I have seen. He was in. It's been a long time since I've seen the X-Men movies. If I'm to
I
be
can't
honest.
remember him in the X-Men movies either, and I love
Yeah,
those
I
movies.
don't
He's
remember him.
in X-Men. Yeah, he's in Wolverine Origins, man.
Oh, the
In the
wolf.
boxing
That's right,
gym.
he is.
How do you? That's like one of
No
the
wonder
best
I
scenes in
couldn't
that movie,
remember.
dude.
That's
That
a
movie
bad movie.
That movie's great.
famously began.
It has a
I want to tell
terrible.
this
It has one
anecdote.
terrible scene.
I want to tell this anecdote. No, it's terrible. The movie begins with a title that says 1885.
You guys are
And
yeah
the
okay.
two
All right.
characters are
They
All right.
children.
fixed it.
Yeah,
They
that's been
fixed
edited.
it, but I saw it in theaters where it wasn't fixed yet. And it said 1885, and then it later showed them fighting in the Civil War. And I almost walked out of the theater right then. And I probably should have. All right. Now that we're off of
Listen,
editorializing.
you both said Cube was a good movie, so do not come at Wolverine Origins like that. All right. Like
You
it had
got
its
me.
flaws. Like besides that, like that's been changed thankfully. But like other than that, like it's a very enjoyable movie until you get to like the end.
You got me
The
there. That is a
like
fair statement.
the end is really bad. Like I'm not
Yeah.
gonna credit it because it also ruined one of my favorite characters. But that's besides the point. It's been fixed. I don't have to worry about it anymore.
Yes. All right. Well, the Blob, Fred Dukes. He is a 3-threat character. His defensive stats are 4 physical, 2 energy, and 2 mystic. He has 6 stamina, and he's size 3, and he's movement small. And I'm almost certain that he's on at least a medium base. So that,
I would guess a medium base. In fact, that's what I put my 3D print on.
okay, yeah, because
I want to say it was a medium base. We have pictures of the models, right?
Yeah, it looks like it's medium next to Pyro's small.
yeah,
It doesn't
so
look
that
large.
that short move is less oppressive than if he were on a small base.
Especially
Uh,
when we get to special rules.
Yeah, yeah. Ooh. All right. He starts with a physical strike, which has the basic builder rules, and wild push. He has his spender is thunderous splash. It is a range 3, weight 7, cost 3, and 4 damage is dealt. Place this character within range 1 of the target character, and then wild explosive force. After this attack is resolved, other characters within range 2 of this character are pushed away from this character short. Characters pushed away suffer 1 damage. His first superpower is called Catch Little Man. It is a cost 3, and it's choose an interactive terrain feature of size 3 or less within range 2 and throw it medium.
Hey
This
Fred,
super
I think your
yeah.
mic's going a little funky right now.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah,
I'm
Yeah.
it
sorry.
was. Yeah, no, you're good.
Can you hear me
I
now?
was.
Yeah, you're way better now.
Yeah.
Okay. Part of that might be that I'm looking at my screen and not speaking directly into the mic. So I'll just I'll do this as cautiously as I can. Less within all right, so choose an interactive terrain feature of size 3 or less within range 2 and throw it medium. This superpower can be used only once per turn. The next is a reactive superpower, which is ha 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 ha. That tickles. It is a cost 1, and every time he suffers damage, he may use this superpower to reduce the amount of damage by 1 to a minimum of 1. And after the attack is resolved, if the attacking character is within range 3 of this character may push the attacking character away short. And then he has a passive superpower. Nothing can move the Blob, where this character cannot be pushed or thrown as a result of an attack special rule. And then I believe that the flip side is exactly the same.
It is.
Yes, it is. So what do you guys, all right, let's, what do you guys think about this guy? Let's start with Brandon.
Yeah, I think the defenses kind of scare me. The 2-2, the physical defense, the 4-2-2, the physical's obviously great, but the two energy and mystic are a little scary. Um, Other than that, like I love this character. Like he has a damage reduction that I would want. Like he might have the best damage reduction uh in the game. You gotta pay one, but then you can push him away. Uh,
Yeah.
and that's not once per turn.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, like I'm a big fan of ha 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 that tickles. I think it's great. I love throws. I wish it was character. If it was character and terrain, I'd you know
But as we
I'd be
pointed out over and over again, they're not doing that anymore,
yeah. It doesn't matter. I know. I
which
would have
makes
been
his superpower way better.
yeah. I would have been smitten by that. Yeah. I like that nothing costs over 3. Thunder Splash being 3 is really nice. Um, yeah, I like. Unfortunately, like the nothing can move the blob. Unfortunately, it's only attacks, so like he can still be pulled by like spider people,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But a lot of pushes and stuff we've seen recently. Again, we haven't seen a lot of character throws recently. A lot of the pushes we've seen have all been on attacks. Um, so that does help that out. Yeah, all in all, I like him a lot. I think he fits in literally perfectly in an affiliation that is not his own. Uh, yeah, I don't think there's a world where he'd be in that affiliation, but I can let Brad figure that out later.
If it's the one, I think he's got a decent chance.
Yeah, I thought he did, and
Yeah, it's not that bad.
but they didn't put Jugs in there, so I
Yeah,
thought
but Blob is. I guess they probably have pretty close to the same chance.
okay. Yeah, see, that's where I didn't know if he'd have
Yeah,
more
that's
of
a
a
good
chance
point.
than
Nah, probably
Juggernaut.
not more.
Yeah, so that's where I was kind of waffling on it, on that. But yeah, no, I think this like for a 3-point model, 12 health, is tier 1 in that. Um, size 3 is fine. I mean, size 4 is like it's anything 4 or more is kind of scary. Um, at 3 threat, you can't have. I don't think you could really do a size 4 character. I think that'd be really tough. Like and have all the rest of the stuff that he has. There's not a text on this card that's bad.
Okay. What are your thoughts, Brad?
Well, it's hard to follow up Brandon talking about literally every part of this card. So
There's nothing bad. I didn't
I'll
know
just
it's
I'll just reiterate that the defenses are a little scary. Um,
Yeah.
his there's like a
I
few
tried not
like
to talk about the attacks for the record. I kind of left those
yeah.
out.
Um, there's a few things like it would be even better if like it didn't have a minimum of 1 on his damage reduction, or if it just said he can't be pushed or thrown. But that's asking for a lot for a 3-point character. Like
And the only
you
ones
can't
that
have
go to z-
everything.
there's only a couple characters that reduce to 0, right?
But they all pay for it. Usually if you
Yeah.
pay for it, you can reduce to 0.
But
And
are
that's not
any of
true for him.
the but are any of them cost less than 4?
Um,
I don't think so. And none of them pushed the guy away.
Crossbones? Yeah, none of them push the guy away. That's what he trades. He trades
Yeah.
the minimum of 1 for the push.
And he
And that's
also
a
gets
pretty good trade.
and he also
Yeah.
gets the 12 health pool. Like that 12 health
Yeah.
pool's big.
Yeah.
Uh
But I mean, the blob is a control piece and has a little bit of anti control as well. Pushes on both attacks, uh, a terrain throw, a push on the defense. Like he's a control piece,
Even those
which
pushes
is
are very controlling.
yeah,
Like,
which isn't quite what I expected. I expected the nothing can move the blob type thing, but I did not expect him to have pushes everywhere else. But it makes sense.
It was funny because I read this card the first time, and for those who know me, they know this. I don't like to read when there's more than like one sentence. So when I saw haha that tickles, I didn't even read it. And I was like, man, it would have been real. I was like, man, it would have been real cool if he had a damage reduction, just like a static damage reduction. Like he'd be perfect for what I do in my life. And I was like, I want to go back and look and see. And then I was like, oh, he doesn't. And then I was like, well, I guess I'll just read what this actually does. And I was like, oh shit, it's exactly what I wanted. And I was like, oh shit, and it pushes away. Oh shit, and I can do it twice in the same. Oh man, I can do this like every time. And it like because it repays for itself. So like if they,
You really need to read.
I know. Listen, uh, I knew I would read it when we got on here, so I try to like save some of it. But yeah, I was just like, so like it's like, oh, you pay one, you take one, so you get your power back, and like so you can just keep pushing people away. The within three is kind of fun, kind of funny. I like that restriction for those who do try to like your Winter Soldiers, your Bullseyes, your what's the guy? Hawkeye characters that are snipe. I like that you can't really push them away because I like the
Yeah,
thematicness of it.
they're too far away.
They've done a very good job, especially on the Brotherhood members, of keeping them very thematic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also want to point out that Thunderous Splash also helps make up for Speed Short.
Yeah.
Oh
Because
yeah.
he has a place.
And it's a range
it-
3. Like that's
Yeah.
it's like
And you can
the
place within that you can get way upfield with that. That's
yeah,
real nice.
people are gonna forget that that's a range 3. It's gonna end up being real similar to Black Dwarf's spender that's range 3. That
Oh, yeah.
everyone's like that. I think every time I've ever used that spender, people are like, man, that's range 3. Like, and I think that's gonna be
Yeah.
similar with Thunderous Splash.
Yeah.
It's also nice to see a 7-die attack that costs 3. It's way better than those old models like Wolverine who pay 4 for a 6-die and cost a point more.
Yeah, that's there. If you read if you go on the blog site, they love to talk about power creep. Love to talk about it.
It's not power creep. They're just like figuring out what they need to do to make characters playable.
And it's
Yeah.
been really consistent for a while now.
Yes. Oh yeah. This attack did not surprise me at all. It seemed completely
yeah,
reasonable.
like the people who complain about power creep are like people who bought like the first 4 boxes that came out and are just pissed they haven't made like a new Thor. Like
Yeah.
and he didn't get an update. Like it's just weird to me because the post I saw was all about is just how like Black Dwarf was so bad, and I was like, yeah, I mean he's not great in Black Order, like Thanos Black Order, but like
Right.
he's very playable everywhere else. Like people just they sassy, man. The power creep talk is it just I don't know, bothers me.
Well, I feel like you guys have covered just about everything. I do have a quick question.
I had to take the
And
positivity away from me.
If what's Fred gonna say if you're hype on the character?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
you know it's funny. I thought about that earlier when we were talking about doing it today. I was like, man, I really like this character. I don't know what Fred's gonna do if I talk before him because I'm just gonna.
I'll tell you what I think about him. He's really good. The I do have a question, and I think I know the answer is no. The answer is that he would still. Well, I'll ask the question. If Malekith uses ferocity, he would still be able to throw him, correct?
Yeah, I think so because it comes from the superpower, not the attack.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I have another clarifying question. Oh
Listen,
God,
nothing's gonna stop Malekith. All right, Malekith does what
Well,
Malekith
yeah.
does.
Sentinels, they would also not be pushed by his ha 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 that tickles. Correct?
Correct. Yes.
Because it is still a superpower, even though it is a
Yes.
reactive superpower.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's good that we know these things going into
Yeah.
him. But yeah, this
Listen,
guy.
if he stopped all that at 3 points, dude, like
Oh man, this guy is a ton
If
of
you
work.
in the sentence after the word throne, it's like way better.
If you just stop reading.
I mean, just if you end the sentence and then just delete the rest. I bet they play
Sure.
tested that version. They're like, no, we got to limit this a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. This guy is awesome. I mean, for 3 points, you just get so much table presence, and he is a control piece, which is real nice. I bet he
Yeah, we don't
feels.
have a lot of those that aren't spiders.
Yeah.
I think he
This
is gonna
guy's.
fit in really well with like Magneto too. Like, I think they've really wanted like a 3-point character that's hard to remove. Uh,
It certainly won't hurt. He's going to be good with Mystique too,
yeah,
which is even better because he was on Mystique's Brotherhood, not Magneto's.
yeah, and that's what I was getting ready to say. I think we're gonna, especially if Pyro's a really good like 3-threat model. Like now we're looking at a really good like, especially if the Sabretooth that we get is good. Like we're getting
And
close
in
to like.
faction.
Yeah, we're gonna get real close to like a Brotherhood being able to play really wide, like a
Like
really
X-Men.
wide control list, like with Mystique's control, Toad's control, the
Uh,
Blob's control. Like I doubt
it,
Pyro would have a whole lot of control.
he absolutely could based on what he does in the comics. He could
Yeah,
be a control piece. I was just about to say that they could go either way with him. They could do control or they can ignore aspects of him and just go damage.
I like that a lot. One of my favorite X-Men, Gambit, who's not a great character in this game, I think would really benefit from a wide Mystique list.
Yeah.
Because the things he does is not great, but it's definitely better when no one's bothering him or when
Listen,
he's like the least threatening character.
after
Also,
playing
like
Wide
with
X-Men,
Quicksilver, oh man,
yeah. After
I
playing
really
Wide
like this.
X-Men, I would love to play some Wide Brotherhood.
Yeah,
So
I
if
really
that's
like it.
a
Especially if Pyro's 3, then you have Mystique, Pyro, Blob, Quicksilver, Toad. What was that? 14 points, 5 wide. That's good.
Ooh. Oh, that's real
yeah.
nice.
And you might as
Yeah.
well I mean your 10th model might as well be Magneto, so you have that option.
Yeah. I mean, that's just
Depending on
5,
what
so
else depending on what else is in your list, maybe you throw a Scarlet Witch or a Juggernaut in there
yeah,
too.
I mean, at that point, you can just make 7 models and then just finish Magneto, Juggernaut, like Scarlet Witch, right? Like,
Yeah. Juggernaut's
huh.
also very good with Mystique because he's so mobile and hard
Oh,
to
I forgot
remove.
Colossus was a part of Brotherhood.
Eh,
Yeah.
that's not
One,
that
two, three.
exciting.
All right, so they have 10 members right now, not counting the Blob. So, like, yeah, I
They'll
mean,
have 12. You only have to cut 2. One of them Sabretooth.
the other one's Colossus.
The other one's Colossus, yeah.
Yeah, so you have
Although
Toad.
Sabretooth is better in Mystique than he is in
Yeah, but he's not better than
Magneto.
Rogue.
No, he's not better than Rogue.
Yeah, so then you have Toad, Witch, Rogue, Quicksilver, Mystique, Blob, Magneto, Juggernaut, Gambit, Pyro.
That sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it's
That's
solid.
a straight Brotherhood badass list.
Yeah, it's like it's good because we haven't Brotherhood. It's been the same for so long where it's like, oh, we're playing Brotherhood. I guess they're gonna play Magneto and either Juggernaut, Scarlet Witch. They'll probably have Toad and maybe Rogue. Like that's been so steadily their list for
Or Mystique.
and like depending on the list, it's like Toad or Mystique. Uh, so I like I like that we're getting more of the Brotherhood um, characters. We're still missing a couple key ones, but
Like
Well,
Pyro's boyfriend.
who's Pyro's
Avalanche.
boyfriend?
Avalanche.
Avalanche.
Okay.
Yeah, I only
Well,
know that
let's.
because Brad's told me like 10. Avalanche is to be fair one of the key characters we have not got.
Yeah.
I did not know they
And
were
he's going to be
dating.
super controlly. Should be.
Yeah. That's why I really like because it's funny because Magneto isn't very it's more punch you in the mouth. I like the idea that you can play both of those styles.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm actually excited about that happening. All right, sorry. Go ahead, Fred. What are we doing now?
let's move on to our letter grade for this guy. What do you think, Brandon?
I went first last time, Fred. You're up.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna give him an
Making
A
you
minus.
go. Damn.
Gentleman's A minus.
Oh, damn.
What are you giving him, Brandon?
I'm gonna
calling
give
you
him.
out.
I'm gonna give him a higher grade than you, man.
Holy shit.
That's why I needed you to go first. I didn't know if I would outgrade you or not here. I'm gonna give him an A. Yeah, I think a flat A. I think
Okay.
he's gonna. I think he's gonna be a very splashable character in some very key affiliations. And I think he's gonna be super playable in the one affiliation we know for sure he's gonna be in, which is Brotherhood of Mutants. With either leadership, I think he's gonna be a real key piece. Uh, so yeah, I don't think I can talk him out of like at the A range.
Okay. What are your thoughts, Brad?
So I was gonna give him a grade, and then Brandon talked me into giving him a higher grade. So I'm going A minus. I was gonna give him B plus, and he talked me up to A minus.
Okay.
I feel like I've talked people up and down into grades. I mean my criteria is very simple, man. Like I have letter grades, and it's like if you are splashable in every affiliation and like you're always in yours, like that's when you're in that consideration for like S tier. But the A, it's like if you're great in yours, splashable in a lot of others, and there's nothing bad on the card, yeah, I mean you're in that A tier. So that's where I'm at. I'm pretty sold. I think he's really good, and it's one of those. I think he's gonna be sneaky, really good too. It's not like I think some people are like, oh, he does what other people do, but like he does a lot that other people do that like I think he's really in that lizard conversation.
Yeah,
Um,
that's exactly who I was gonna bring up.
God, and
He's
lizard's
like in that
phenomenal.
space. I know.
Yeah, like and argue he has a better spender than lizard.
Oh, 100%.
He's got a better builder than lizard.
You can
He
push
has
lizard.
he has the same throw as lizard, except for he can throw characters. So
Yeah,
that was
Lizard can
that.
throw characters, which is huge.
Yeah, like the healing factor, but you can move lizard, you can't move like I said, the biggest beef I have with him are the defenses, but it's he very much is reminiscent of, lizard, and lizard is probably a top 3 to top 5 3-point character, and his biggest holdup is that he's only has one affiliation, and
Yeah,
it's not a very good one.
yeah, that is accurate. I was thinking about in a criminal syndicate list replacing Lizard with Blob, and the
Yeah, you
moment
play
I
them side
thought
by
that,
side, bro.
oh boy.
This is a good
Well,
segue into my list.
yeah, let's talk about what your list recommendation
Yeah,
is.
it's Criminal Syndicate. It's Kingpin Criminal Syndicate specifically. He is a pretty. I don't know if I'm gonna. It would be tough for me to play Criminal Syndicate after Blob comes out without him. Um, Having Blob and Lizard. Um, so Blob will probably take Black Dwarf spot, which is really sad because I love Black Dwarf. Just being able to be a threat point lower. And having Lizard and Blob at 6, Kingpin going to 10, and then probably another like Shadowland Daredevil, and then like Hood or Black Cat or Bullseye to fill out the list. It's just having characters who can sit on points and count for 2 and just not be like just have that hard to move, like that can also then fight other people off your points. Yeah, like Blob and Criminal Syndicate is going to be something I believe we see going forward in every Kingpin Criminal Syndicate list. I would be shocked if that was not the case.
Yeah, I 100% agree. That when I read this card for the first time, I was thinking, "Oh my god, I bet Brandon's thinking Kingpin." I 100% called that you were gonna bring this as your list recommendation.
Yeah, and
We
I
all
didn't
knew it,
want.
Fred. Don't act like you
Yeah,
didn't.
and I didn't want to. Like, I really wanted to bring something else, but it was just kind of like, it came out yesterday, so it wasn't like a ton. But like, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know where. I mean, there are probably a lot of other places, but like, the perfect fit is Criminal Syndicate with Kingpin. Um, there are other really good fits, obviously. Anyone that just wants to kind of win the points and play a little control, like Convocation was one I
I
thought about.
think
Um,
I think he would play pretty cool in Web Warriors.
yeah, Web Warriors and Convocation were the two others that I had considered. The more controlly Convocation with like Voodoo and Strange One. Yes.
Okay. So I skipped over Brad's recommendation, so let's go back to that. Brad, do you have any comic book recommendations for us?
No. I'm just
Yeah.
kidding.
X-Men comics are
Hey,
whack
holy
anyway,
shit!
right?
The Blob. Okay. So I have two recommendations here. The first one is Uncanny X-Men #3. The third ever X-Men comic ever printed by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. This is Blob's first appearance. It would be hard for him to appear before the third comic, although Magneto manages it. And the Vanisher, a character no one's listening has ever heard of. But the X-Men go to the circus and they meet a mutant they don't know. Fred Dukes joins the X-Men, but it doesn't go very well. So that's your little snippet to try to get you interested in reading it. It's a good early X-Men comic. Not as good as the first issue, but still pretty good. Any questions, comments from the Peanut Gallery?
You only
You
have
didn't
one?
say anything inherently sexual yet, so no.
Yeah, we can't be done. There's no
Oh no,
sexual
there's a second.
innuendo.
There is a second recommendation. It's called The Extremists. It's part of the Age of X-Man crossover, where X-Man, a character from a different X-Man, is an X-Men character.
There's a character named X-Man.
Yeah, that's his code name. It's Nate Gray. He is from a different universe where he is the son of Jean Grey and Scott Summers. But none of those characters know about that. Cyclops, Jean Grey, and Nate Gray, none of them know that. So he's kind of an alternate version of Cable.
So, wait, so his name is Nate Gray, and he doesn't know that he's Jean Grey's son?
No, not at first.
Okay.
He figures it out eventually.
I guess Gray is a common enough
Yeah.
name.
And he had literally never met her. So Sinister took Cyclops' genes and Jean Grey's genes and made a baby.
Okay.
So she did not give birth to him or anything. What?
I'm sure that they would have willingly done that if he had just asked.
Well, in that universe, Cyclops is a Nazi bad guy, and Jean Grey is dating Wolverine.
Have you not gathered by now that like X-Men comics are fucking wild, Fred?
Yeah, I know.
They are very wild.
Bananas.
I started talking about X-Men, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna get weird. Okay. But this series is written by Leah Williams, and I assume it's Jorge Genty. I don't know. It's Jeanty. This in this alternate universe, X-Man, Nate Gray, has created because all the X-Men that were about to die. So he created an alternate universe so they wouldn't die. But he has he's created a world where you're not allowed to like have a boyfriend or a wife or really express love or affection for another person. And the extremists are there to make sure that doesn't happen. So if like not in this comic, but in one of the other comics, Bishop and Jean Grey get it on. So they go arrest Bishop and throw him in jail. And then the whole series is about Bishop being in jail. And that series is also good, but not the one I'm recommending. So the extremists in their comic find a couple that have made a child the old-fashioned way, which they do not do. And in dealing with that, some long-held secrets of the team members start coming out, including the one that Mr. Fred Dukes the Blob has been keeping. And causes some strife. People come to some realizations. There's a really good scene where Betsy Braddock, who was Psylocke at the time, crawls across the table talking about her body issues, even when she was a model, and is seducing Fred Dukes, who's like really into her. But it's a really good scene. And then they find out some other bigger secrets about what's going on, and the shit really hits the fan, and people go wild, and it's good. It's very good. It escalates very quickly at the end. So I very much recommend it. That's my
Okay.
anti-sexy time recommendation, because you're not allowed.
You've done this intentionally.
I
Yeah,
did not when
he
I
definitely picked like
recommended
10
it.
and only had eliminated the 2 because the rest had sexual innuendos in them that we would talk
No,
about more than
I
the
could have
comments.
talked about the issue where the Blob and Eunice the Untouchable are at least very good friends, if not fucking. But I did not even think of that issue till right now.
That sounds a whole lot more interesting than the rest of the stuff we've talked about.
Yeah, it's during the time when Eunice the Untouchable can't eat cake.
Can't eat cake.
No. So the way they defeat Eunice the Untouchable at one point, he has a force field around him, and so people can't touch him. Therefore,
Okay.
he is Eunice the Untouchable. And so, like, you go throw a punch and you just bounce off. Very Blob-like, actually. But Henry McCoy, the Beast, creates a gun that turns his force field up, and he can't eat cake. He like tries to eat a cake, and it like keeps moving away from him, and he can't eat cake.
Damn, now I
What
feel bad
fresh
for the
hell?
guy.
What fresh hell?
And so he gives up, and they arrest him.
Defeated by the inability to eat cake.
Well, he correctly figures that if he can't eat the cake, he probably can't eat anything, and he's probably gonna starve to death. So he gives up.
Fair. Well, that that was fun, and it was also fun to learn that his name was Fred, which I didn't quite catch. um, but that'll do it for the Blob today. I have a non sequitur recommendation. Uh, Now, I want to ask you guys whether it's acceptable for me to recommend another podcast.
Is it
Namely,
an MCP podcast?
no.
Then I don't care.
Okay. Well, I am a huge fan of absurdist comedy, of the weirdest shit possible. And so my recommendation for today is a podcast called the Beef and Dairy Network Podcast. This is a British comedy podcast where it is following the beef and dairy industry in Britain, and it is hysterically funny. There are sequences in it that are I was cackling by myself in my car listening to this. This podcast, you guys have got to listen to it because it's fantastic. If you're into absurdist comedy, listen to the Beef and Dairy Network podcast. And that'll be it. That's the end of this podcast.
Well, Fred, I
hope
have
you
a question.
Oh, yeah, you have a question?
Yeah, did you watch YouTube poop?
YouTube poop?
I take that as a no. Continue.
No, the answer is no. Do I need to look this up?
It was a bunch of videos early in YouTube's life cycle. They're probably still up there somewhere, but they were absurd. And that was the humor. I was wondering if maybe you watched those as a young child, maybe a young teenager, and helped develop your taste for that type of humor.
My taste for
They're also very
absurdism.
crude.
Well, okay. My taste for crude absurdism existed long before YouTube existed, and it was fomented by Monty Python. So the original absurdist. Well, that'll do it for the Blob today. Thank you for joining us for the Crit Hit Wild podcast, and hope you guys have fun playing your games. Go kick ass at Second City in the Second Wind. Oh God, I'm fucking this up bad time.
Just have
I'm
good
tired.
games.
Have good games.
Have good games.
Bye.